Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Urza, and we're going to be checking out the Magic the Gathering top 10 crabs. That's right. No, they're not the most powerful or amazing creatures in the whole Magic world, but we thought I would explore the top 10 crabs and see which ones are the top 10. So let's begin with the top 10. And now, at number 10, which we have the card Oraxid from Nemesis, and it's a common. No, it's not the best of all the crabs. It is protection from red. That's why it's at number 10. So it's not that impressive. And it costs 4 mana for that 2/3. Technically, the card shows Beast, but it is under the crab series. And the reason, again, why it's at number 10 is because it has protection from red. So let's move on to number 9. And at number 9, we have the King Crab from Urza's Legacy series, and it's an uncommon. Again, like the other one, it can be very helpful in the right circumstances. King Crab costs 6 mana for that 4/5, which is alright if you're going to do something. But the ability is put target green creature on top of its owner's library. Now, the only reason why this is on the list is because of the green creature thing. And again, crabs aren't the best. I'm not going to repeat that after this, but because of that, it can be very annoying once you have this crab out as well as a few other crabs. So putting that green creature in that right circumstance can be quite annoying. So let's move on to number 8, which we have the card Drownyard Behemoth, which is from the Eldritch Moon series, and it's an uncommon. This card is here because of the abilities. It has Flash. As you can see, it says Flash means you can cast it as an instant. And it has Emerge, which costs also 8. You may cast a spell by sacrificing a creature and paying the Emerge cost reduced by that creature's converted mana cost, which could be helpful and not helpful. And when it comes into play, it has hexproof. So the reason why it's like that, it can be helpful and not helpful at the same time. So you can save 1 mana for playing the Emerge cost, and it has hexproof, and it's 5/7. For a crab, that is very powerful. The card itself is not that very good. So that's why it's at number 8. So let's move on to number 7, which we have the card Skitter Eel, which is from Ravinica Allegiance, and is a common. And I actually like the saying too, life has no mistakes, only experience. Now this Skitter Eel costs 4 for that 3/3, which is pretty standard for a common, and it has that adapt. If this creature has no +1/+1 counters, put 2 +1/+1 counters. So bring this eel out, and maybe next turn you put that adapt on. It can be a very powerful crab in the long run, especially if you do some other abilities with it. And that's about it. Nothing really special other than the adapt for this card. So let's move on to number 6, which we have the card Skittering Crustacean. It's from the Conspiracy Take the Crown series, and it is a common. Like the other one, as long as Crustacean is monstrous, it has hexproof. So we've seen the hexproof ability before, and the monstrosity costs 4. See if this creature isn't a monstrous, put 4 ++1 counters on it becomes monstrous. Because of this ability, and it costs 3 for a 2/3. So if you don't feel like playing the monstrosity cost, 3 for a 2/3 you can just hold out at least for a turn if there's powerful creatures out. And again, it's common, typical for a crab. This is not too standard, is standard. So let's move on to number 5. At number 5, halfway through the top 10, we have Vexing Scuttler. It's from Eldritch Moon, and it's an uncommon. And this, believe it or crab, really like the picture. It's really cool. Costs 8 mana to do. That's very expensive, and it's a 4/5. Again, really standard for a very expensive crab. The Emerge is 6 plus the 1 blue mana, and it says when you cast Vexing Scuttler, you may return target instant or sorcery card from graveyard to your hand, which can be very helpful, especially in a later game if you're doing a lot of spells. That could be like if this is mixed with red. Deals 2 damage, you put this card out, get that card back to your hand and play it again. That's why this is here at number 5. It can be very helpful in again, like everything else, the right circumstance. So you get a creature out if you use it properly, can be very helpful. So let's move on to number 4. At number 4 we have Shambleshark, which is from the series Gatecrash, and it's a common. This one here is at number 4, which is really cool because it costs 1 green and 1 blue, and it has a 2/1. So you're paying 2 for a power of 2, which is really cool. It has that ability Flash, which you can do at the very beginning of the game. And it also has the ability Evolve from the series. It says, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, which is really, really cool. So Bring this out the second turn and you pump a creature out every turn. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is the reason why it's at number 4. So it's basically a pump creature and it has flash, which can be very helpful in both circumstances. So even if this wasn't a crab, this is actually a pretty good card. So let's move on to number 3. And number 3 we have the Hedron crab from the Zendikar series, and it's an uncommon. This was probably my favorite card actually from the whole Zendikar series. I really like it. We'll read the description. It has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library in his or her graveyard. Then again, that can work against the enemy or for you, whatever you prefer, depending on how you make your deck. And it costs 1 for a 0/2, so it can stop those 1/1 haste right away. And landfall. So if you play this card first turn, you're bound to play at least 7 land right away, so that could be very helpful. Again, it depends on the type of style, the deck you want to do, and especially in Vintage with this card and all the current cards in the Type 2 series. This card is really, really, really good. Again, I like this card. Unfortunately, I didn't want to put it at number 1 because of my personal attachment to this card. So let's move on to number 2 then, which we have the card Chromeshell Crab. It's from Commander 2019 series, and believe it or not, that's right, it's a rare crab. Even though it's a crab beast, it's still considered a crab. This card is here at number 2 because of its special ability. Though it is very expensive, it costs 5 mana to do for that 3/3, and its morph is you may cast this card face up down as its 2/2 for 3, turn it face up at any time for its morph cost, which again, its morph is 5, cost 5, 4 or 5. So it's like you're spending 10 mana to get this thing up, ability out. When it comes into turned face up, this card, you may exchange control of target creature you control and a target creature an opponent controls. That is a very good ability for this type of crab, and it can be very annoying because you can bring a really crappy card. You can even bring out like a Phyrexian Negator or something where the opponent has to discard cards, and you can't do that. So this is why it's at number 2, because you can exchange control of target creatures, which can be very helpful if you're playing against a creature-based deck. But there's only one, and the best of all cards. Let's move on to number 1. At number 1, we have Growth Chamber Guardian from the Ravinica Legion series, and it's a rare as well. This is a really good card, even if it wasn't crab, like I said with the other card. Costs 2 to bring out a 2/2. That's pretty awesome, I think, in and of itself. And has the ability Adapt, which costs 3. So you can play this second turn, and third turn do Adapt too. This creature has no +1/+1 counters on it, but 2 +1/+1 counters. So third turn, it can be a 4/4, and on top of that, whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on this guy, you may search your library for the card name, Growth Chamber Guardian, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. So you can imagine doing that with every turn, bringing out all the cards, so you don't have to search your library. This card has the search ability built into it. So 2, 4, 4, 4. Next turn, bring one out, pump it out, bring another one, and then the last 2 you can bring out at the same time if you wanted to, and then pump them up on top of that. So this is good, the really, really, really good crab card. It's just amazing, and right now it is one of the popular cards. At the time of making this video, this is one of the popular cards used in green, which is really cool. So if you really enjoyed these top 10, there's other top 10 videos on this channel, and we will continue to make more. I hope you guys have a good day and a good evening.